Hey everyone, Earthony Poptano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Tame Impala record, The Slow Rush. This is a brand new full-length LP from Kevin Parker's Tame Impala. It has been 5 whole years since the release of the band's last record, Currents, and that span of time frankly has felt like forever. Mostly because that record came along with such incredible crossover success, hitting it big not only with pop fans but hip-hop fans too by bringing more keys and punchy beats into the fold. So with this new LP, I've been curious as to whether or not we're going to see another big stylistic change. But The Slow Rush is pretty much another helping of ethereal falsetto psych from Kevin Parker, which is okay. I mean, this time around, the synths aren't nearly as pumped up or as novel as they were on Currents. The grooves are certainly still there, though many of them feel a bit more disco influenced, I guess. But what makes The Slow Rush stand out in the Tame Impala discography, or at least what had me excited to listen to it, was that the teaser tracks seemed like they were taking a pretty introspective and personal turn. A lot of themes having to do with memory and past experiences, time passing as well, like on Lost in Yesterday and Posthumous Forgiveness, It Might Be Time. Kevin is really using these dreamy, psychedelic beds of instrumentation to explore some very serious personal pain. And from the singles, it sounded like he didn't need to decap the instrumentals or the songwriting to make it happen. Like on Posthumous Forgiveness, which features...
I hope you like Anthony Fantano. He's pretty interesting. I kind of want to hear what he has to say about this new record.
These twinkly, sad
if you want me to change it, just let me know.
Set to some very airy and dramatic
if you know what's in the salad,
feels like I'm exploring or am just lost in an endless desert waiting for heat stroke to take me. Kevin on this track is singing his heart out about his estranged father. He's gone now and he wishes that
I'm going to be crunching and munching.
He had the ability to reconnect with him and tell him about his new life and everything that music has brought him, and I guess try to reconcile some of this hurt. I love the rushes of glossy chords, the woozy synth leads, the instrumental switch up in the second half. It's a very beautiful, dramatic, compelling, multi-phase track. We get more infectious grooves and bass on Lost in Yesterday, with Kevin once again lyrically dwelling on the past. With the other cut, It Might Be Time, that tease toward this record, we have Kevin anxious over his coolness, his relevancy, his ability to, I guess, keep up with things creatively and stay popular in the field of music.
Really delving
it's
into
sort of like his very own
lyrical content on this one. It's cool.
When LCD Sound System's Losing My Edge.
Means you listen to it.
The beat certainly goes almost as hard, that's for sure, with the siren synths, the massive distorted bass, also some pretty sharp delays on the vocals too. It's maybe the closest thing this album has to a rager. And sure, while it was a little too easy going for my ears, the track Borderline I thought was a decent taster for this record too. In fact, the beat on this thing and some of the vocalizations, along with the slightly dreamy aesthetic, reminded me of like a Gorillaz track. Maybe if things were more upfront and there were a vocal guest or two on it, it certainly could be. Honestly, I'm just happy Patience didn't end up being on this record, because that was a bland single. So going into this, I was pretty excited that I would like the whole thing, especially given how good these teaser tracks were, and also just that I've generally been sad that I don't tend to enjoy Currents as much as many fans do, and have always thought Tame Impala could do better, and maybe this will be that record. But the deep cuts on this thing do reveal some redundancies and a lack of creativity on the sound play side of things as well. Something I think is pretty key to the psych genre generally. While the reverb on this thing and the delays and the bright sheen on most of these tracks do check some basic boxes, I'll say this is no Flaming Lips when it comes to sonic excursions. It's not even really much of an MGMT either. If you really want an example of how texturally unadventurous this project is, then maybe give a listen to the song Instant Destiny. Kevin's opening vocal melody on the track is pretty good. Actually, I don't really mind the tune all that much, but come on. Sonically, this thing is pretty toothless. Muddy, booming drums, washy synths, buried bass too, all mushing together in a loud but somehow lifeless display of sound. The bass and crisp drums on Breathe Deeper are much better, but it doesn't take too long for this track as well to get enveloped in the same palette of effects, which frankly at this point are quite obvious, and Kevin can't seem to diverge from them in any meaningful way. Eventually the track turns tedious as it extends past 4 minutes, going into passageways that maybe you should have saved for some kind of 12-inch dance mix or something. Then after that, it's the songs themselves that begin turning forgettable. Like on the track Tomorrow's Dust, the 2-chord progression on this track, it comes off as uninspired before we're even a minute in, and Kevin layering more and more instrumentation on top of it doesn't make it any more appealing. There's also the oddly derivative One More Year, which on the surface might seem like any old Tame Impala track, but hear me out. The linear driving groove on this song and the way that Kevin is poetically riffing over this instrumental, it kind of reminds me of like some Fear of Music or Remain in Light era Talking Heads, but obviously way dreamier in typical Tame Impala fashion. But Kevin doesn't come off in the track with enough eccentricity or presence to really sell it. The greatest deep cut this thing has to offer is easily the song On Track, which is a stunning ballad with powerful keys, spotlit lead vocals, some dramatic drums to it. Sounds like an idyllic, dreamy image of the 70s, with lyrics about getting up, dusting yourself off, getting back on track after horrible things have been thrown into your lap. The record's final leg, I think, is okay, especially given It Might Be Time and Lost in Yesterday. The song, it is true, does save one of the nastiest grooves for the end of the LP, though it's not one of the stronger songs here. It does kind of bow out without having developed anything significant. And Glimmer is a kind of dull 2-minute interlude that wasn't entirely necessary, and the random, I guess, studio bit of banter about cranking the kick up if you want the kick to sound great, and cranking the bass up if you want the bass to sound great. No bit of banter about random, I guess, entirely necessary, and 2-minute interlude that the stronger songs here. It does kind of bow out without having developed anything significant. And Glimmer is a kind of dull 2-minute interlude that wasn't entirely necessary, and the random, I guess, studio bit of banter about cranking the kick up if you want the kick to sound great, and cranking the bass up if you want the bass to sound great, doesn't necessarily hold true in all cases, and may be indicative of the production problems this album suffers from occasionally. Case in point, the final song, One More Hour, which I do appreciate stylistically as a switch up here, as it's one of the more prog-influenced songs on the project. But the vocals and the shimmering synth tones on this thing shouldn't be nearly as buried as they actually are. And this track is really a point where the record's claustrophobic production ends up hurting it in a big way, as all of these explosions of instrumentation just feel a little neutered. They don't hit as hard as they could, nor do they feel all that clear, just a little muddy, a little muffled, I guess. Once more, I do like that Kevin tried to get a little ambitious with this closer, and the stripped back passages on this track of vocals and keys do bring some much needed drama to the song too. But the whole final leg of this track is a total waste, as Kevin just decides to, I guess, feed the whole goddamn thing through a phaser, and it just sounds like just combining mush with more mush to create this giant orgy of mush. At this point, we're just goofing off with the same handful of effects that we're placing on almost every other song here. So while I do think that this record does have some good songs to its name and a very cool, pillowy exterior that is vaguely psychedelic, there are some moments here where, the vocals are a bit weak. The songwriting isn't quite there, and the very uniform sound and style throughout the entire album does get quite old. I mean, for
You don't. You measure 70,000 a year and you poll.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you measured enough and you, I mean,
We've pretty much.
great hockey player.
No, come on. I'm not that ignorant. I've sold more pizzas than Peyton Manning.
Yeah, my dietitian was adamant on me coming on this show with you all.
That's the guy back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Adamant that I come on this
Oh, that's
8 years ago.
And I said, why? I had my agent at the time reach out. I says, why can't we get a deal with Papa John? I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna put points on that stock, but they declined. But you heard of the offer.
Yeah.
It got to you.
Yes.
Ah, that's.
I wanted to do it.
interesting.
I mean, you know,
That's
it's
so interesting. So what happened?
well, you know, it's like meeting somebody and they go, you know, I think I'm crazy. I think I'm losing my mind. It just, you know, and then you meet somebody that says, I'm not crazy. You know, I'm not crazy. Well, the person that thinks they lost their mind, they're not crazy. The people that think they're not crazy, they're crazy. This self-righteous, oh, John, you can't go on that
Performance mode.
show.
To
Eli and
beneath,
Ethan, oh
yeah.
my gosh, you know, and we're so self-righteous. Our words are perfect and our behaviors are perfect. Those are the people that are doing things behind the scenes that are dangerous. Dangerous. That their behavior behind the scenes would scare the stripes off
Man.
a raccoon.
I'm
But
pretty
you
sure
forgot to ask
Papa
me
John.
about graduating college.
I think Papa John did it. I think he just wanted the. I think he just wanted the N-word pass. I'm pretty sure Papa John did it for sure. I don't know. Do you think Papa John did it? I think he did it. I think he just wanted to say the N-word, and he thought he could get away with it. He's like, oh crap. He's like, oh yeah, that's my chance.
In 3 years.
He let it slide.
I totally forgot.
Yep,
You
yep.
did, how did
He's like,
you,
I totally got black friends.
you go ahead.
Yeah, I finished second in my class. Second
Really?
from
What
the
did
bottom.
you study?
Second from the bottom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
I've
funny.
got the last
Did
guy
you
in my
not-
pocket. I got a picture of him just to make myself feel good.
And you didn't finish in 3 years? You were finished in 3 years. It sounds like.
We finished in 3 years, all but one class.
So did
But
you graduate?
Second,
You didn't.
Second in the class. Second from the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it?
Material.
Got it.
Yeah, you brought in material. Prepared material. Yeah, any other bits you got?
No, I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah.
It's been a delight.
Now, if Domino's ever reached out and they're like,
We still have like 30 minutes to the show. Of like 30 minutes to the show. I want some sweets. I want some mochi. That sounds delicious.
Wow.
you want to come on board?
Wow.
What would you say?
Well, we're working on
Wow.
a lot of things in the future. Remember, I love pizza and I love people.
Whoa!
And-
Wait, is there a possibility that there's a... Whoa.
Crazy. The people that think they're not crazy, they're crazy. This self-righteous. Oh, John, you can't go on that show.
To
Eli
it's
and
beneath,
Ethan. Oh
yeah.
my gosh, and we're so self-righteous. Our words are perfect and our behaviors are perfect. Those are the people that are doing things behind the scenes that
Right.
are dangerous.
Mm.
Dangerous. That their behavior behind the scenes would scare the stripes off
Man.
a raccoon. But you forgot to ask me about graduating college in 3 years.
I totally forgot.
Yep,
You
yep.
did, how did you so you go ahead.
Yeah, I finished second in my class. Second
Really?
from
What
the
did you
bottom.
study?
Second from the bottom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I've got the last
Did
guy
you
in my
not-
pocket. I got a picture of him just to make myself feel good.
And you didn't finish in 3 years? You were finished in 3 years. It sounds like.
We finished in 3 years, all but one class.
So did
But
you graduate?
Second,
You didn't.
Second in the class. Second from the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it?
Material.
Got it.
Yeah, you brought in material. Prepared material. Yeah, any other bits you got?
No, I appreciate y'all having me on.
Shout out
It's been a
Smuckers
delight.
for
Now, if Domino's ever reached
supporting
out
the
and they're like,
stream,
you want to
Wow.
come
Bye.
on board?
Wow.
keeping
would
me
you say?
alive.
Well, we're working on
Wow.
a lot of things in the
Shout out
future.
chocolate
Remember, I
milk.
love pizza and I love people.
Whoa!
Wait, hang on,
Wait,
see, this is
there
what
a
part we want.
possibility that there's
Hang
a...
on, what's going on?
How did you so you... Go ahead.
Yeah, I finished second in my class. Second
Really?
from
What
the
did you
bottom.
study?
Second from the bottom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I've got the last
Did
guy
you
in my
not-
pocket. I got a picture of him just to make myself feel good.
And you didn't finish in 3 years? You were finished in 3 years. It sounds like.
We finished in 3 years, all but one class.
So did
But
you graduate?
Second,
You didn't.
Second in the class. Second from the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it?
Material.
Got it.
Yeah, you brought in material. Prepared material. Yeah, any other bits you got?
No, I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah.
It's been a delight.
Now, if Domino's ever reached out and they're like,
Wow.
you want to come on board?
Wow.
What would you say?
Well, we're working on
Wow.
a lot of things in the future. Remember, I love pizza and I love people.
Whoa!
And-
Wait.
Wait.
Is there a possibility that there's a... Whoa. What are
Well,
you
with it-
announcing here today?
Well,
Ela.
we always are in search for a better pizza, and we always are. Even
Better
when I was
ingredient?
when I was with Papa John's, you always got to have better ingredients. I mean, you can't make a silk
Well,
pork out of
Tom- what-
salary.
Domino's is...
Dude, what? Papa John's is going to Domino's.
They're making some big moves in the pizza category.
Yeah,
They
they've
have.
killed it the last 10 years. They've done really well.
You think that they could be a worthy ally to you?
I don't know about that. We haven't talked about that. I do know that we're always in search of a better pizza.
I'm trying to
And-
decipher what that means.
And there's a couple
So am I.
pizzerias that really make a really, really good pizza that
Mhm.
we're looking at. We're doing a show. You can have
I
the
don't know
first
what
on
that
this one.
means. You want to invest in them?
Well, Papa John's, we always wanted to be America's independent pizzeria because independents make the best pizza
Mhm.
because they're right there
Right.
doing it.
Right.
And we were public. We were a big company, but we always tried to act like a family-run business with regards to people and product. And that's what the independents do. They have to. They got to be scrappy, and they got to take care of the food. It's the food stupid. So we're doing a podcast with Rocco's, a pilot this week. You heard it for the first time up in D.C. and we're gonna hit Rocco's Pizza now. They know what they're doing.
This is a ground up investment.
Well, I'm not investing. I'm just going to go in. It's called Pizza with Papa.
Yo, you're making a pizza podcast.
With
Wow.
Pizza with Papa with Rocco's Pizza. That's our pilot.
So what is this Rocco's Pizza? You seem to be have a vested interest in their success.
Well, I love small business.
Yeah.
Small business is what makes America great. And even as big
You
as
think Rocco makes better pizza than Papa?
he makes really good pizza.
Wow.
If they keep doing this, yes, I do, because he's making sure this doesn't happen. In fact, if you go into Rocco's, you'll see he doesn't violate
He follows that 10-point commandment.
He gets
Is it like the 10 Commandments?
like the Ten
10
Commandments.
pizza commandments.
It's like the Ten Commandments. But he's interesting. He's
If Papa, if I'm reading between the lines, it sounds like you are in the beginning of getting behind a new pizza empire to rival your former. I see a great battle forging. Rocco's v. Papa John.
No, but the show's all about the American dream. It's all about small business. And since I love pizza, what better way to go to the American dream to America's independence? And we're going to start off with Rocco, Pizza with Papa. And that's going to be fun. And then we got a few other things we're looking at with finding a better pizza. You know, always in search of a better pizza. And so the independent pizzerias make the best pizza. So
Documentary?
I wouldn't mind doing that.
A TV show like Guy Fieri, like Papa Pizza with Papa?
Well, Guy's a friend of mine, and Papa's not no guy. I mean, you know, Guy's really good at what he does. He knows food, too. He knows food really well. But I know pizza. So we're going to have fun. We're going to go out and be
From
the
place to
entrepreneurs
place.
of America,
Sounds
America's
really
independent
pretty
pizzerias.
Big
We're going to
plan.
Top Shop. Big plan. It's fun. I mean, Rocco uses fresh pack sauce. He uses Stanislaus, which we're big fans of those folks. He's using grande cheese.
I'm eating so much fat.
Higher buttermilk. I'll talk about that. He's using a Baker's Pride deck oven. That's what we started in when we started in the broom closet.
The more food you eat, the more food you eat.
You are a scrappy young man with a humble beginning. You've come to be extremely wealthy. I mean, how does that? At what point in your career did you be like, oh shit, I'm a wealthy guy?
Well, in the broom closet, we did $200 one night. My brother and I were jumping up and down because we thought we were rich.
Yeah.
So we've always made a good living.
No, but come on, there's a difference.
Okay, well,
there's a difference between a couple $100,000, $10 million.
When we went public in June of '93, I didn't have $5,000 to take the family on a trip.
Really? You went public with that little money?
And then the next day, I was worth $100 million.
What?
I was 31.
Holy shit.
So that was the.
I mean, how does that? Did you? At what point in your career did you become?
In the broom closet.
Yeah.
So we've always made a good living.
No, but come on, there's a difference.
Okay, well,
there's a difference between a couple $100,000, $10 million.
When we went public in June of '93, I didn't have $5,000 to take the family on a trip.
Really? You went public with that little money?
And then the next day, I was worth $100 million.
What?
I was 31.
Really? You went public with that little money?
And then the next day, I was worth $100 million.
What?
I was 31.
Holy shit.
So that was the day when we did,
Really?
because that was stupid money. You're 31 years old and you make $100 million. There's no way you know how to handle that.
So what happened?
Well, you go off the deep end for a few
What'd you do? What'd you buy?
That's a lot of money.
What? Everything. you
Tell
know,
me.
No, you.
What is the dumbest thing you bought
tell me,
that you spent like ridiculous?
Bought a boat. That's about as stupid as
Yeah,
it gets.
boats are expensive. eh?
Bought a Dodge Viper. Thought that was cool until I got pulled over in it. But I think.
What's that like to get that windfall?
Okay.
This dude's being super modest. $90,000. That's not really even that fucking expensive.
I've never met somebody that's successful that was arrogant and pompous that in a short period of time became unsuccessful. And so no matter how successful you are, you got to stay gracious. You got to stay thankful.
Come on,
You got to
Papa.
stay humble. And when you make $100 million at 31, you know, you got to have some people around you to do some pruning to make sure you don't think you're as smart as you think you are. And so, you know, was it bad? No, but could have been better. Yeah, but they don't write a book on this crap.
Was that cash you just got?
Cash, and that was-
Damn.
It is. It's just cash.
Just straight into your bank account.
no, cash and
Stock.
stock. So let's say
Overnight.
80 million in stock and 20 million in cash. Nothing, you know.
So with that money, you probably buy a house, buy
Yep,
a boat, buy a
yep,
car,
yep.
and then
What
put
does
some
the
in like a
family
money
do?
in the stock market or like a money market
It's like
account.
$1 million.
Yeah, you try to buy property,
account,
you know,
property, it's always
dividend
a good-
stocks.
yeah.
You know, you buy some Warren Buffett. You know, some folks that know what.
What
they're
about
doing.
your family and friends? Were they like, whoa, this guy's like, do people act differently? I mean, that always happens, doesn't it?
You know, the friends, really, the family hasn't really. That doesn't change them. They're pretty grounded, because that's just, you know, to respect the people that make this country great, is in making their lives better. I mean, that's really the key to happiness. That's how I get fulfilled.
You find yourself withdrawn though as you become, because it's almost like it's hard to relate to other people when you become that wealthy, right? Do you find yourself withdrawn more? No.
I don't have a problem. I mean, I actually relate better to a waiter in a restaurant or somebody that's driving a truck than I do a governor. I do much better with people that work for a living and are scrappy than I do with people that are wealthy. I can do both, but you know, I can have that repertoire. But I'd much rather be with somebody I'd rather be with Rocco's Pizza next
Yeah,
week
those are people.
than with the vice president. And I like the vice president. He's fine.
Who would want to be with him?
Who would? I mean, you'd rather be with Rocco too. Plus, you get a good pie on the
Mike
side.
Pence doesn't seem like a lot of fun, but
And
I don't know.
We're not touching
He does-
politics.
yeah,
in this interview.
yeah. But
how long do it take you to come up with the 10 Commandments? Do you have
The
I
10
feel that.
Um,
Save
an
me from-
enlightening one day?
The
Or is it-
10-point perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had this from the get-go.
You did.
But over the years, you get research, and research refines little things. Like we always had an edge lock, but we didn't call it that. And we always tried to get the ingredients out to the edge.
is this distracting you that I'm eating?
No, I mean,
Because
I think it's
I'm
great.
genuine.
I'm just trying to. The dichotomy of one minute you say it sucks, the next minute he's eating the hell out of it. I'm just trying to figure out what. But
I don't think it sucks. It's just got, it has a little what did you call it? The crust issue?
doesn't rise.
It has a rise issue. That's all.
But but
You ever get heckled on the street from people?
never. We haven't had one.
People are saying
incident.
this is a bad interview
out-
from Ethan, but I wouldn't say it's bad. Actually, I would say that the only reason it's good is because Papa John is there. It's just a typical interview with Ethan. But what makes it people think that it's so bad is because it could be so good. Well, that is so good. People think it could have gone better. I don't think it could have gone better though. I think it was a great interview.
Public about this whole
Wow.
issue. That's what I say. A lot
That's
of this,
amazing.
lot of this was fabricated by the Papa Johns and the board, which is very
Ethan does make it super uncomfortable. But I think that's what makes it kind of entertaining.
difficult when your own company starts making things up and creates a narrative that's false.
Why did the NFL guy hate? Like, why did he have a distaste
So
for you?
much.
Because I was on his case to fix the problem. Listen, that's what leaders do. They fix the problem.
So when
Do you mind explaining a little bit about that issue? Because we didn't really talk about it, but like, what do you mean by you saying that you were just on him to fix the problem?
Okay, our largest spend was the NFL. It was some $40 million a
you
year.
guys were huge with them. How much?
Huge.
40 million.
40 million a year, give or
The
take.
exclusive pizza sponsor.
Yep,
Holy
official pizza of the
Wow.
NFL.
That's huge.
And
See, I didn't
give or
realize
take,
that. I
some
was just
$40
kinda
million a
wondering.
year.
To fix
Why he would even have an opinion on the NFL thing.
the problem.
Okay, our largest spend was the NFL. It was some $40 million a
you
year.
guys were huge with
Yeah.
them. How much?
Huge.
40 million.
40 million a year, give or
The
take.
exclusive pizza sponsor.
Yep, official pizza of the
Wow.
NFL.
That's huge.
And the ratings were off 20% because of the kneeling controversy.
So there was less ratings.
Let's see. The kneeling controversy. Papa just said that they should fix it so that everybody's happy. And I totally agree with that.
Less people were watching, and you were paying the same amount.
Right.
I see.
So take a
That makes
20%
sense.
decrease in ratings on.
I could have just made it so like if you want to kneel, if you want to stand.
$40 million. How much is that? That's an $8 million loss. So, our being the fourth in the category, we don't really have the sustainability to cover an $8 million. Deficit. So my marching orders to Goodell was fix this to the players and owners' satisfaction. He didn't like that. He didn't like that at all.
So
In fact, I told him,
Did
I
you
said,
never say stop the players from kneeling?
no, of course not.
Because the headline that I consumed and always saw was, "Hey, stop the players from kneeling."
No, of course not.
Because the headline that I consumed, you
That-
never say.
I saw some body language there. He said, no, of course not. He said, no, of course not. And then it was like, he was like, his eyes do this thing where he's like trying to analyze to see if, I'm not sure if he's trying to analyze to see if Ethan believes him, or if he's going like the, like closing his eyes a little bit to like hone in and listen to what Ethan has to say next. It could be either. That's what I'm gonna play again to see if it reveals it anymore.
Stop the players from kneeling.
No, of course not.
Because
That at all.
So
In fact, I
here we
told him,
did
I
you
said,
never say?
He seems, from there, he seems pretty confident with that answer. So no, of course not. But he's also somebody that has managed to secure hundreds of millions of dollars. He's a billion-dollar company. Had multi-billion-dollar company. So he's probably a master of manipulation and a master of human psychology and persuasion. Ethan is not. Although I'm sure Ethan's probably kind of smart.
Hey, stop the players from kneeling.
no, of course not.
Because the headline.
In
I
fact,
feel
I
like he
told him, I
does
said,
these ticks, the whole. I think he does that to throw people off. I think it's totally fake. Well, maybe it's like involuntary, but I think he picked it up. He learned it all the way. So he's trying to like throw people off from like. Just they have no idea where the fuck he's coming from.
Never say stop the players from kneeling.
no, of course not.
Because the headline that I consumed.
He does this lazy thing with his eye afterwards. Like he's like, okay, yeah. Like he almost looks like happy and like relaxed and comfortable that Ethan believed that. Like, no, of course not. And then he's like looking like he looks super comfortable with the answer. And it's like as soon as he perceives that it's what he says is believed, he almost feels like, whew, almost like a sigh of relief. To where he's like, oh no, of course not. I'm not guilty at all.
Did
I
you
said-
never say stop the players from kneeling?
No, of course not.
Because the headline that I consumed and always
I
saw
wish
was
the
that
camera stayed on.
Papa John doesn't want the players kneeling, as if you were taking a political stance against that.
No, no way.
So how did that get out?
I think the company.
As if you were taking a political stance.
I've heard, and this was honestly the person I remember that said it was Dr. Phil on Joe Rogan. But I've heard that when people's, and I have even experienced this with myself. If you're ever accused of something, you know for a fact that you didn't do, you're usually not really happy about it, and you're like, and you're not hesitant to be like, fuck no, definitely did not do that. As opposed to if you did it, you might just be like, oh, no, it wasn't me. Like you might be kind of hesitant to say it. You know for a fact that you didn't do it, then you're gonna be very firm.
Against that.
No, no way.
So how did that get?
That's his
Doesn't
answer right
want
there.
the
No,
players
no
kneeling.
way.
Because the headline that I consumed and always saw.
I think he's genuinely relaxed and comfortable with That's the whole vibe I get from this whole interview. That's why I don't think that he had any. I don't know. I was thinking that maybe he did it, but now, for a split second, I thought he might have did it, but no, I think he might have said the N-word out loud, but I don't think there was any ill intention. I think he's probably just pissed off that people were like even trying to insinuate that he's a racist, and that's I would totally see why I would snap. And honestly, I'm pretty sure I've done that in similar situations. I'm pretty sure I've come off as racist to people, but only to people that honestly I think know that I'm not a racist. They're just like trying to prove a point to like make themselves look better or feel better. And honestly, to me, it's so obvious. That's why, like, when I experienced that, I just didn't buy into it at all. And honestly, probably bought into the conversation argument more than I should have. Not really, because I like kind of realized like who was my true friends in the situation, like who really knew me. And people were calling me a racist when I lived with like a house with like 6 other people of a totally different race than me. Like, 6 black people, and I was the only white person. Like, they were like my only friends. So like, for them to call me racist when it was like, man, I don't even hang out with people. Like, I have like one white friend right now. Like, I don't know, it just seems silly.
Stop the players from kneeling?
No, of course not.
Because the headline that I consumed and always saw was that Papa John doesn't want the players kneeling, as if you were taking a political stance against that.
No way.
So how did that get out?
I think the company promoted that too.
Papa John from even back then was
in November.
Papa
I
John
think
seems like such a
Shapiro and
solid
Richie
dude.
by that time were like, if we don't say anything and let the media, crucify him, then we can advance to take over
But
the company.
who got the
It's
story?
just people that are trying to like make rich people look bad. In my opinion, I'll do anything, say anything to like blame a rich person because they're jealous.
Who, like, because they got the story wrong. So who originally told them it was Papa John doesn't want the players kneeling?
The comments were 10 after 10 on a Wednesday, and within an hour, they changed it from fix the problem here, Roger. That's his bad leadership. Fix it to the players' and owner satisfaction, to kneeling, to race in less than 1 hour, and it went viral. So it was premeditated. They were sitting on the comments. And
Is it a stretch of the imagination to think that fix the problem means get them to stop kneeling?
no, because I think they can kneel. I think they just have to do it in a way that doesn't polarize the situation. Again, I'm not going to tell them to kneel or not kneel.
You just were looking
just
at the
wanted-
bottom line.
I just want it resolved.
Yeah, because you're.
And they did get it resolved the following year, but it had gone on too long.
But from a business owner standpoint, I can certainly see where you're coming from. I mean, you're paying $40 million, and now you're getting less eyeballs.
Oh yeah, it was. When you have to understand, 80% of the monies going to the NFL are the small business owners that Papa John's called the franchisees. So we're expected to be good stewards of their money, and so when we're spending $40 million and we're getting a 20% discount on our spend, then it's my job as a CEO in a publicly held company to say, hey, we got to resolve this. We need to get this done.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And you feel that there were options for him to fix it? Like, what could he do?
Well, he did fix it. They fixed
He
it the
did
next year.
eventually.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure how he fixed it, but he did fix it within 10 months.
They banned kneeling, didn't they?
I think they took the kneeling pre-game,
Oh,
or they put a penalty
Off
in or
the
something.
field.
They did something, but they resolved the issue.
sorry, I just took a huge slice, a huge bite. Did this whole? It seems. Let me just chew my food. It's good pizza. Just a surprise issue.
Oh, it's my recipe. It better be good.
With the whole kneeling thing. I feel like when the fucking... I don't know, it's supposed to be land of the free. So I feel like you should be able to fucking whip your dick out and jerk it off. While the national anthem is sung. If you want to. I mean, I feel like you should be able to be arrested for doing that. But kneeling, I feel like it's not against the law. I feel like you should be able to kneel. I feel like you should be able to fucking do a handstand. Or a backflip. What's the big deal? There is no big deal. The only big deal has been made by assholes. So banning kneeling. I don't know. The NFL sounds like ancient nonsense. That's why contact sports are.
It seems that this
Dumb
whole
as fuck.
conspiracy started, or the first time I saw you in controversy was Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, when you said you oppose, and correct me if I'm wrong, you oppose the Affordable Care Act because it increased the cost of pizzas by 12 cents or something of that nature.
No, the analysts worried about the cost of Obamacare. Our delivery charge per pizza is about $2.50, $2.60 a pie. Obamacare was 14 cents. So the point was, it's insignificant. It's not a problem. I mean, it's less than 20% of what it costs to deliver the pizza. So it was an analogy to explain that 14 cents a pizza, because there is a cost. I mean, you know, when you provide more health care, there's a cost, but it's insignificant on an $11 pizza. 14 cents is just over a point. So it's not a problem.
But your comment was that you were going to lower employees' hours to avoid paying their health insurance.
No, I would never say that. I will say in Hawaii, there's a franchisee out there where they had a program similar to Obamacare, and that's what he did. He lowered the hours. And that's what ended up happening with a lot of the companies in the market, but I never said that. No.
So you are saying that
Sounds like
your
the
comment
words were
was
put in
in
his mouth.
support of Obamacare and not against.
Just like there's nothing stopping anybody from writing an article and saying anybody said anything, and then other people run with that.
Because it sounds like you're saying it was 13 cents, and that's a small amount, so who cares? But at the time, it was reported, and what I've read is that you were saying that it was going to be an undue cost on your company.
My comments were the 14 cents is incidental. It doesn't matter. And that it's good that everybody's going to have health insurance. You know, because if we did it, everybody else had to do it. So we looked at it as a good thing as long as everybody did it, you know, as one. So we didn't, if you look at the speech I gave at Edison, we looked at it as a very good thing that 100% of the employees were going to have health insurance.
That's interesting.
There's a
That's
transcript on that, too.
totally not how it was reported.
But remember what I told you. When
And this was in 2012. This was a long
November
time
the
ago.
2nd of 2012, what'd the company do? Nothing. What happens when the company does nothing? John gets hurt. By November 1st of 17, they did it again. They did nothing. I got killed, and they painted in the race. So now the company now has a track record of knowing when they do nothing, it hurts me. And if you're wanting to take me out of the picture, what better way to do it than ignore what was really said?
So much fucking.
And
So you are saying, just for the record, that you never said that you would lower employees' hours.
No, I did
Wow.
not say that. Here's the beautiful thing is there's a tape from Edison College on that speech, which is you can get that tape if you want to see it. I'll send it to you and Ela. The transcript, 2017, is a transcript. There's a tape, and there's a tape on the laundry service. So there's a tape on all three comments, and none of the comments are indicative of what was reported by the media. And Papa John's did nothing to clear the record. Now, is that good? Well, it's turned out to be a disaster. So if you take the position, we're going to get rid of the founder, and we're going to violate the duty of care and the duty of loyalty, and we're going to throw him on the under the bus for something he didn't say, probably not legal, probably not cool, but they're making a bet that the company would be better without me.
Right.
It's turned out to be a disaster. The company's in trouble. The franchisee's in trouble. So not only did they violate the law, not only did they do something that was borderline evil, they've hurt a lot of people along the way.
What would you say to? I imagine what they would say in response to that is that the company was already on the decline because of your actions.
I would say that the company was on the decline because they didn't correct the record, and they let what was mischaracterized carried on, and they further embellished it. Remember, the two people in charge of PR that were supposed to protect me deserted me
Didn't call you.
in the middle of. Now, I've made these people multimillionaires. Not one executive, not one board member is called and said, "How you doing?" Yeah, you
Probably
know,
ordered not to communicate with you.
I don't know what it is, but can you imagine a founder building 5,000 doors out of a broom closet and having something mischaracterized?
They were your family.
They had them over the house at Christmas. You
Yeah.
took them on trips, and they don't even call to check out on how you're doing. Now, there's some people that are
Feels bad.
They're pretty sad. That's pretty sad.
That
Yeah,
feels
I feel,
really bad.
Yeah, I feel sorry for people that, I mean, when you build a 5,000 store chain out of a broom closet and you make all these people multimillionaires, and you have something like this happen, it's untruthful and not fair, and not only, it's not right in the sense that that's not my character, that's not my moral fiber, and yet they don't pick up the phone and say, hey, there's a disagreement here, but how you doing? How's your family doing?
Personal resentment,
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah.
You expected more from these people who...
How do you?
People that, can you hold your thought?
Yeah.
People that you think are put together, these are leaders of the community, they ain't put together very well.
Mm.
They're not put together the way they pretend to be put together. The corporate geniuses, please.
Do you have trouble trusting people now?
No, but
No.
you get better at it.
You're more guarded. You have to be. You have...
I keep picking my nose on straight. I'm having like intense pains in my fucking right ankle for some reason. Ow, I don't know what's going on.
have to be more retreated now and guarded of who you speak to and who you associate with. There's got to be trauma there.
Yeah.
PTSD,
Yeah.
potentially.
Remember that you have to look at things of what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? And a couple things. One is 31% didn't hold the day. It just wouldn't. So I should have.
You own 31%
I own
of the company.
31%.
You thought that would be enough.
I thought it'd be
How did it end up not being enough?
because
What happened?
that 31 wasn't enough to carry another 20% against what the backlash on the N-word.
So everybody, all the other owners colluded for a cumulative 51% to oust you.
The board, it's worse than that. The board colluded with the media to make the N-word worse than it was, and then went to the other owners and said, we have a bad apple in John. That's kind of how they did that. The second thing is remember, I knew something like this could happen, but not from people around me that I cared about because it wasn't in their best interest to do this.
Right.
To your point, the lesson there is you have to have your guard up a little better. But I missed the boat on those two aspects, and I lost my company. And the company now is in trouble.
Well, I was going to ask, in summary, looking over the story as it is, you've got these three big media controversies dating back. First time I heard you in the news in that regard was 2012 with the Affordable Care Act, which, according to you, was misreported. What's the story in all of this for you? What do you take away from this whole experience? You've built it up in 2012. Then in the past couple of years, again, two more controversies with the kneeling, and then that phone call where you said the N-word. Like, what's the story? What's the lesson for you?
I think the lesson is you always go through things like this, and you come out the other side a better person. And this makes you stronger and better, and it makes you more appreciative of the people that do good and do have a good soul. We had a really good thing going. It was making $150 million a year, and we had the best pizza and best service, and everybody's making a lot of money. So that introduces an element of being comfortable. And sometimes when you're comfortable, you don't prune the bad parts of yourself as much as you should. Whereas if you go through something like this, it forces you to be a better person in every way. And I could have never sold 8 million shares of stock in the position I was as CEO because it would have scared everybody else to death. These folks have come in, they've created a mirage, they've created a farce, they bumped the stock up to 65, and I've been able to sell 7, 8 million
So
shares.
that's kind of a nice thing.
It's a real nice thing because I never would have been able to sell 7, 8 million shares
that's
without
a silver lining.
Exactly.
So you cashed out a little bit
Right.
before you couldn't.
Right. Plus now I get
Let me do the math. What'd you sell? How many shares did you sell?
let's say 8 mil.
8 million shares. My God. And at what value?
Let's just do 50 for math. It's 400 mil.
Ooh! So you cashed out 400 million?
And how do you feel? I told you I'd be okay.
No kidding. Whoa.
but
Whoa.
but look
So
what it-
wait,
look-
how does that work? So the company pays you $400 million,
people that buy in the stock pay the 400.
and then this guy is coming in and saving the company with how much?
250.
250 mil.
And but you just sucked out 400 million.
Let's see who's right.
Oh shit!
Again, he's got this thing sold, and the next.
But what did they expect? They knew you were going to sell your stock. You'd be silly of you not to sell.
Well,
some.
here's what I was hoping. I was hoping they could run it better than I could run it. I really was. I mean, I was
yeah, you're like,
hoping-
let's see.
let's see. I mean,
Yeah.
because you think maybe you don't know as much.
You're
which
like,
is healthy.
maybe they're right.
Maybe they're right. And
Yeah.
so if we're clocking along here at 3 or 4% comps, and we're making good pizza and culture, and everybody's getting raises, I'm like, well, it's not how I would have done it, but good for them. But that's not what's happened. You know, we're closing stores. I went down to my hometown store in Park City yesterday to get the Papadias. Really, Papa Zones, but Papadias, okay. And the store's closed.
Oh, no.
Had to drive all the way to Salt Lake. But closing stores, people losing their jobs, and so I can't be part of that, and I don't want to be part of it. But the silver lining is now I'm involved with some health things. I love people. I love pizza, and we've found some things that really can help people's health, make people feel better, emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually and physically. That turns me on.
Yeah, you got $400 million in the bank. You could do whatever the hell you want. Damn.
That's
Pizza's
work.
been good to Papa.
It's been a blessing from God. Told you.
Are you a religious man?
Not religious, but
Oh.
there's definitely a higher power.
Oh, for sure.
There's the higher
I was just
power.
wondering if faith had played a role in your life at all, or helped you through this.
Yeah, when you've had your teeth kicked in like this, it puts you on your knees pretty quickly, which is a good thing.
Hmm.
It makes
Humble.
you, oh my gosh, I mean, when you get your noggin knocked around like this on something you really didn't say or do, you get, I was always spiritual anyway because I never understood how the speed of light's 186,000 miles a second.
Mhm.
Mother Nature. I mean, I just find all that like way above my intellectual pay
Oh, yeah.
grade.
Yeah.
But this will make you, this will make you humble in a lot of ways.
So,
Have you heard the term that us and our fans use a lot, Papa Bless?
Papa bless you.
You hear that all the
like,
time?
Did you hear it before we reached out or got connected?
I heard it, but I didn't know what it meant.
yeah. It's just a weird thing. I really don't even know how it started, but it's so prolific now. Everybody says Papa Bless, which is a reference to you, of course. So we've all been praying for you
Thank you.
this whole time, all these years.
Well, it worked.
I guess it did in the
Work-
end.
I mean, we got Rocco's.
Rocco's
We
is
got
coming up.
another
How
couple.
much-
I got another couple pizza places I'm working on. I can't wait to share with you. It's fun. And then we got this health thing going on.
How many shares do you have left in Papa John?
2 mil, 3 mil.
Damn, you are a very wealthy man. Jesus, Papa.
When we took the company over and
Wait, are you a billionaire? Does that make you
no,
a billionaire?
I'm not a billionaire.
That makes you close.
Closer to $1 billion than 500 million, but
Wow. That's an exclusive club.
it's a blessing. And you can do so much good with those resources, and I plan on doing that. But we're having fun with people's health, and we're having fun with independent pizzerias. We're out to find
It's
a better
not-
pizza, and we're out to find a better way to go through life to help
So
other people.
why don't you sell the rest of your stock? What's holding on to it?
Well, you there's laws.
Oh.
Yeah, so you can only do so much at a time.
So you would offload all of it and just move on if you could.
I don't know if I would do that. I can't really say that because I don't know if what that would do to the stock if I said that. But
Because it sounds like you're saying here that you're suggesting in an indirect way that people should sell their stock.
what I'm suggesting is everything I did from 09
Bring out the 10-point, baby.
to 17 to take the stock from $6.50 a share to $89. Every single fundamental thing we did on our principles, our values, our people, our interpersonal relationships,
The principles are gone.
they're violated.
And also the company is in financial, it's being floated by this investment. So it sounds like they've artificially inflated the price of the stock. I mean, now's the time to get out if you got Papa John's stock, it sounds like.
Yeah, the two metaphors that I've used is even if you love the car, you don't need to be in the car when the car crashes.
Right.
And the other one is, in my opinion, the ship has already hit the iceberg. And it's already lisping, but they got a camera that makes it look like it's level.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a farce. So let's see what happens.
It's gotta break your
And by
heart.
the way, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I've
Well, hey, you got a lot of money invested in that
I've
company.
hoped that
Still have
for
2
2
million
years,
shares.
for 2 years, and I've been ranting and raving and telling them, that this is a losing proposition, and they're probably tired of me telling that. But for 2 years, I've hoped I was wrong.
You still have $100 million in that company in stock value at $50.
at $65. It's a little more. But
Oh, 65. Let me recalculate. Excuse me.
it's 130, but keep going.
Do you watch or have you ever watched something like Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon
not.
Ramsay? No?
Oh, you don't watch that?
Hmm.
It's good shit.
Check
You
it
like
out.
Yeah.
Good shit.
You watch TV? You watch food shows?
Mostly sports.
Sports guy. You're a
Ah.
sports guy. That must have been a real honor for you to get involved with that NFL like a dream.
Yeah, that was lucky.
Because I saw you with
Lucky.
those players, all smiles, and you were all on the field and doing all that. I mean, that must have been amazing.
Yeah, Peyton was great. Montana was great.
But now
Marino was great. I mean, J.J. Watt was great. We had a lot of fun with Jerry Jones, the bus. Jerome, he was great. Shaq's been great.
Yeah, Papa Shaq.
Papa
I
Shaq.
wanted to ask you about Papa
Yeah.
Shaq.
Yeah, we're not. Shaq
You must
and
have
I
been
are-
a fan of Shaq.
Well, everybody's a fan.
Yeah, everyone liked Shaq. Yeah.
We just got to figure out what number he's going to wear 34, 36, or no, but
So
no.
was the Shaq deal facilitated? That was after you were ousted, right?
Yeah, I had nothing.
So
to
is
do
that a
with the deal.
shame that you're like, damn, I like Shaq. I wish we could hang out.
Absolutely. I mean,
You ever talk to him?
no, I've never talked to Shaq.
Oh,
I'm a big Shaq fan. Shaq sits on the board, but
wow.
I'm not as close to Shaq as I was Peyton
Right.
or Joe.
Do you talk to them?
I talked to Peyton, and those guys on a need-to-know basis until I get this controversy resolved. Because I can't.
liability for them.
It's a liability for them, and I can't put them in that position,
Right.
and I haven't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow, what a complicated life you live. It's a shame you never got to serve on the board at the same time as Shaq. Right?
That would have been interesting.
Yeah. Although-
Shaq, here's where Shaq and I agree with Papa John's. He wants to use his voice,
Mhm.
and the guys at Arby's want to use a different voice like they did at Arby's. I think they should use Shaq's voice. I really do. I mean, if you're he's gonna be your spokesperson.
Yeah.
Second
Yeah.
thing is they only use him 10-15% of the ads.
That's weird. Shaq,
It's real weird.
did you,
It's really weird.
Shaq, get him in there.
If you
I-
already
if
got
he's
him.
the spokesperson, put him
Get
in there
him in
100% of
there.
the time and use his voice. But I agree with Shaq on those two issues.
Mm.
But thank you all for having me.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
for
It was a
coming
joy.
here.
It was a pleasure. It was a marathon. We went for a while. You know how long we went?
No.
2.5 hours.
Okay.
Wow.
You didn't think
You
you
owe me.
laughed at me. Well, let's see. You might owe me.
I'll be back.
Yeah?
I'll be back.
As the CEO and founder of the newest and biggest pizza chain, Rocco's.
Mama bless.
Mama bless.
Mama bless.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Papa John. It's been a privilege. It's been an honor. It's been a dream fulfilled, come to fruition.
8 years.
8 years in the making, baby.
8 years.
Love
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you so much,
All right,
guys.
give me a hug.
Guys, we'll see you on Wednesday with PewDiePie. So we'll see you then, or well on Thursday. But anyway, guys, have a great God. Have a Papa bless.
Papa bless.
One of the things that I like to tell people in terms of high performers is not touching your phone the first hour of the day. Every like, share, comment, it's training you to be addicted. People are learning and developing muscles of distraction. A lot of people don't know this. I grew up with a brain injury. I'm a really slow learner. Well, maybe I can learn how to have a faster brain. Difficult times, they could define us, or they could maybe diminish us, but also they could develop us. $1 billion doesn't motivate me in the least. Turning on 1 billion minds, that would be something I would like to contribute to in a big way.
They say that the human race is doomed, that we have lost touch with our true nature, that the media has corrupted us, and that the planet has no future. I disagree. I believe that humanity is full of hope, and that our salvation lies within each one of us. My name is Brian Rose, and my job is to listen, the oldest method of learning known to man. Each week I seek out individuals that are changing the world, people who are living and thinking in a different way. Their stories will challenge your beliefs, make you question your choices, and perhaps inspire you to change. I never planned on doing any of this, but now I can't stop. Join me on this mission and make humanity something we can all be proud of.
It's time for you to man up, to once and for all, tell your mind who the fuck is boss. I need a fucking answer. What's it gonna be?
I don't know what it is about this fucking sport, but it attracts people that really need to do deep work on themselves.
I failed in this city. All these bad memories. I never really felt like I gave a fuck about me or my life. I almost killed myself, like.
Think about something that is going to drive you when it really hurts. Some kind of demon you want to fight.
This is not Pussy Man. This is Iron Man. Under pressure reveals true character. What are you gonna do? You're gonna be in Chattanooga May 20th or what?
Jim Quick is an expert in speed reading and memory performance. He's worked with people like Elon Musk, Will Smith, and the entire cast of the X-Men movie in order to teach them how to learn scripts faster, how to use the memory to actually become more high-performance people. And I love Jim's story because it started at a young age with his own brain trauma, with his massive low self-esteem, and he finally got a light shown to him when he was 18 and he started reading. He started testing these things on a brain that just wasn't working right. And he's pushed it to the next level, and now, along with the memory improvement stuff he teaches, he really teaches a lot of things about self-esteem, killing negative thoughts, visualizing future performance, and I know you're gonna get a ton from this episode. Jim is just a great person, great energy, and I can see why so many celebrities and CEOs seek him out, and it was really special to get him to sit down with us, and I think it's probably one of his best conversations ever. And inside London Real, we're doing some very cool things on the Academy. We've got the Business Accelerator, the Speak to Inspire public speaking course, and of course, Broadcast Yourself coming up. Go to londonreal.tv, download our free courses, and here's a little bit more about the Academy.
London Real doesn't stop when the conversation ends. You see, that's when we get started. Because everything begins with a thought, and then comes the action. The London Real Academy is our global transformation platform. Here we bring together thousands of students from over 75 countries. Whether you want to build a profitable business from your passion, or learn to speak to inspire, or broadcast yourself with your very own podcast, or accelerate your life to become a high-performance person, we have the online accountability course and personal mentoring program that will make your dream a reality. Join us, and we'll take your life to the next level, together. Our next accelerator course is starting soon.
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Jim Quick, the renowned expert in speed reading, memory improvement, brain performance, and accelerated learning. After a childhood brain injury left you learning challenged, you overcame this by creating strategies to dramatically enhance your mental performance. You have since dedicated your life to helping others unleash their brain power and serve as a coach to many of the world's leading CEOs and celebrities, including Elon Musk, Will Smith, and the entire cast of X-Men. Your message is that knowledge is power, learning is a superpower. Jim, welcome to London. CEOs and celebrities, including Elon Musk, Will Smith, and serve as a coach to many of You have since dedicated your life to helping others unleash their brain power and serve as a coach to many of the world's leading CEOs and celebrities, including Elon Musk, Will Smith, and the entire cast of X-Men. Your message is that knowledge is power, learning is a superpower. Jim, welcome to London Real.
Brian, thank you so much, and thank you everyone who's joining us.
It's great to have you here. I would love to get first your thoughts on London. You know, I know you're kind of bi-coastal, you travel a lot, but I'm wondering what you think of this town as far as its energy or your initial thoughts.
Well, I love London. I love minds, right? I love great minds, and I'm always deconstructing genius. That's the nature of my work. And so when I think about London, I'm thinking, you know, Michael Faraday, who discovered electricity. You know, I'm thinking about Mary Shelley and Frankenstein. I'm thinking about Alfred Hitchcock. You know, and you know, any area of genius. And so I love great thinkers and great achievers in different fields. You know, whether it's David Beckham or if it's Charlie Chaplin. You know, anybody who's just amazing. And I love that, and I love the culture, and I love the thought and the depth of I like good thinkers.
Yeah, I remember I was walking around Westminster Abbey and I walked by and it was Sir Isaac Newton's grave there, and I was like, what? You know, like he's right there.
Yeah.
You know,
without a doubt. I mean, it's just very inspiring for me because I like to be stimulated. I think novelty is very important for the brain to create neurogenesis, neuroplasticity, and so I love learning from any kind of discipline. And so even Benedict Cumberbatch, I'm a big Sherlock fan, and he's also played Doctor Strange. As many people who know me know, I love superheroes for many reasons. I'm always talking about modern day superheroes, and Doctor Strange is one of my favorite superheroes because he got his superpowers through reading and through deep study.
Right.
And so I love that.
Do you study Benedict and just kind of watch to see how he accomplishes things or takes on certain roles?
I like to. I think we can learn from everybody. I think everyone could be an example, or you know, some people could also be a warning also. But I think part of the depth of life comes from learning and really living from that place, being curious and having this level of wonder. And you know, when people tell me that they're bored ever, I'm just like really surprised because I feel like we could always find something that's fascinating. That there are, you know, as they say, no ordinary moments. There's always something incredible going on. And so when I'm studying actors or people in business or athletes, I just love seeing people who are the best version of themselves competing at that level, because I always think that genius leaves clues. That when someone is exceptional in there, I don't mean IQ, but I mean like academic-wise, I mean somebody who's just excellent at their field of endeavor. And so when you're watching like Sherlock, I think Sherlock has strategies that allows him to be able to observe things that other people just don't observe. And a lot of what I do is I train like law enforcement, I train artists on how to be more present and how to pay attention to things and see things that other people don't see, maybe. And so I study even works of fiction like Sherlock to see how he deducts and reasons, use critical thinking, and how we could pay attention to things that's right there, but most people don't see.
Yeah, he's kind of one of those original characters that just like notices everything and has these weird brain things and weird character history and and again, London original.
Yeah, so I love this. I feel so charged when I visit, and I mentioned to you I'm going to Wimbledon, and I love sports and following people and seeing, you know, what it takes. I like when people put themselves through a challenge, because I think through challenge comes a level of change. When people are struggling, and you know, we all have adversity in life, but I think that, you know, when we grow through it, that difficult times they could define us, they could maybe diminish us, but also they could develop us, and ultimately we decide. And when I'm talking about learning, it's not always just book learning. Even though I teach people how to read books faster and remember things that they read and stuff like that, I think we can learn from a conversation. Sometimes a conversation with a buddy or an expert is even more valuable than reading a whole book. You know?
Or even a story probably can be a powerful learning device.
Oh, you know that. I mean, after interviewing hundreds of people over years, I mean, you must have the most amazing stories and nuggets.
I'm starting to wonder if stories somehow are in our DNA. That's something and I have a guest coming on soon who kind of believes that. And so it's a whole nother learning mechanism.
It is. One of the best ways when we're talking about developing human memory, and you know, people have seen me do like these mental feats where I memorize a room full of people's names, or like, you know, like literally like 50 or 100 people, or numbers or words or stuff like that. You know, I think when we're studying memory, stories, before they had like smartphones and printing presses, we had the power of people were telling stories around campfires, and that's how we'd pass.
I mean, it seems like a neat party trick, but like, so he memorizes a room full of 50 people, but like 24 hours pass. Does he remember all those people's names? I don't know, maybe. Just wonder how much of it is applicable and how much of it is just his insecurity of being born somebody with a brain injury and mental disorders, and him just trying to like prove to the world that he's not disabled.
Pass on knowledge for generations and generations. So storytelling, there's something about stories that really help make things unforgettable.
Yeah, make the brain lock in on something. You know, if you look at your Twitter feed, it's kind of like the who's who of all sorts of different disciplines. You know, athletes and CEOs and actors and you know, they're what you might call high performance people. And I always wondered, you know, you must see some similarities with all of these people. And I wonder if it's that they have these high performance habits. Is it, you know, I guess since you're with them, they're always learning. Is there something that you kind of see throughout these different types of people? Because you're in a really unique place. Probably there's no one like you that gets to be in these people's lives. And I wonder what you see there.
I mean, I think that the common thread, and I would imagine with all your guests, they share this in common, is that they are lifelong learners. Because anyone who, I think, learning, or especially meta-learning, learning how to learn, is it's like the grandfather or the grandmother of personal growth or high performance or self-help, if you will, because without learning, nothing changes. And so I think that one of the common themes is they have a high standard for things. You know, they have a vision, and you know, I always talk about 3 H's: head, heart, hands. That you could visualize things with your head, and you know, set goals and outcomes and KPIs or affirmations. But if you're not acting with your hands, something is missing. And I think the second H, you know, the heart, and having the motivation or drive, the emotion to be able to achieve those things, because we're not always logical, right? But we're biological, you know, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. I mean, we do things very based on our feelings. And I find that spending time with high achievers, they have a high drive. And, you know, those feelings, a high level of, some people call it purpose. You know, I know you had our buddy Simon on the show. Start with why, but asking yourself why. Why do I want to remember this? Why do I want to learn this? Why do I want to achieve that goal? Because reasons reap results. They really do. Reasons reap results and a lot of rewards. And so that's why I love watching your show, because you provide not only the insight. Sites, because people want to know what to do, but then you also give them the inspiration to do it. Because a lot of people, they'll get the inspiration, but they're like, what do I do now? You know, but then you're talking, and you just, you know, going through your Ironman, I mean, that must have been grueling. I mean, I love people who test themselves, because I really think life, Like, we really grow the most and live the most when we're playing and practicing at the edge of our limits. You know, because
Which means
we
we're
don't
uncomfortable.
Exactly, and I think that commonality is common with high performers or elite mental performers or athletes or actors or traders or, you know, educators or philanthropists. They're at that level, you know, whether it's, and that another one, Jane Goodall, like here, another London, you know, here in the UK, you know, whether it's genius here or genius here in their heart. I love people who are just disrupting things. They're not playing necessarily by the traditional rules. Usually, I read this book called The Structure of Scientific Revolution that says all the big evolutions and advancements and innovations come from people outside the industry. You know, because it usually takes somebody, you know, whether it's fashion or technology or automotive, you know, the car industry, it takes someone like an Elon to look from the outside, look in, saying, hey, if we were to start completely over right now, zero-based thinking, you know, what would cars look like today? You know, so it's not additive, it's just something that's fresh.
Yeah. And if you're uncomfortable all the time and challenging yourself and learning, which is, I'm guessing you, me, the clients of yours, or people you help, how do you maintain that balance of also being present and happy?
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're attracted to people who push themselves, but when you're uncomfortable, like a lot of times I'm having tough days, but I love it in retrospect.
Yeah.
But like, how do you find that balance?
For me, I think it's individual, much like I think diet is, and a lot of things is preference and finding what works. I think a lot of people, they give away their sovereignty and a lot of their power to other people as an expert or as a guru, if you will. But I think the ultimate expert is ourself. And I really do believe self-awareness is a superpower, like knowing yourself. For me to feel totally fulfilled, and if people want to be successful, be happy, I think it comes down to two things. I think it comes down to having the curiosity to want to know yourself, like really go deep about who are you, what are your beliefs, and what do you really value, what do you stand for, what do you stand against, all these different things, your capabilities, your habits, your routines. So having that self-awareness, the curiosity to know yourself. But once you know yourself, I think a lot of people might know themselves, but you also need the courage to be yourself too. Like once you know yourself, you need to be able to have that courage, that boldness to really live it. Because I really do believe, we're talking about learning from other people. And it really, I can learn, you know, I was just teaching a bunch of children, 6-year-olds, right? And I love working with children. They were from like 30 different countries, from different economic backgrounds and everything. And I was saying that I can learn from all of them. Because, you know, it's asking these questions. They have this sense of wonder. They have this sense of play, if you will. Because I believe, ultimately, the life we live are the lessons we teach. The life we live are the lessons we teach to other people. And it's not about what we say. So many people just say, you know, they can say things all the time. But if they're not doing those things, I feel like we don't really understand it. And I think really when it comes down to it, a life well lived, it's not just the words. Because words, it's better well done than well said. You know, but so many of us are shrinking sometimes, and you must see this, Brian, where because we value other people's opinions so much and their expectations so much, and we don't really know ourselves. And even if we are getting glimpses of it, you know, it's hard in this world to be ourselves when you have, you know, so many people are living a life, you know, it's their parents', you know, ideas for them, or it's the Joneses or something like that. And I think you could really go broke buying into other people's opinions, you know, and their expectations. And so coming back to this, you know, when we're talking about human memory and learning, I just feel like we're here to grow and we're here to give. And that's when we feel the most empowered. So it's like knowing who we are and then being who we are.
When a company like, you know, Nike or SpaceX or Zappos, you know, pulls you in, or, you know, someone like the crew of the X-Men, like, what is the usual thing they think they're getting you for?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that you end up giving them a lot of different things they didn't expect.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question, actually. From people, when they usually come to me, it's usually if they're from an audience, and I'll ask them, what would you like to learn? If there's any one problem I could help you solve, what would it be? And it's kind of interesting, just stepping back, because if you had a magic lamp, and a genie was to grant you one wish, what would you wish for? You would wish for like more wishes. That would be like the hack, right? If I was a learning genie and I could help anyone learn just one subject or one skill, you know, Mandarin, martial arts, music, marketing, you know, anything, what would you want to learn? And the answer along the lines of asking for more wishes Well, if I can learn anything, it'd be learning how to learn. Because if I can learn how to learn, I can apply that towards anything. You know, it's really a forced multiplier. And so I focus on learning how to learn, or this thing called meta-learning. Like meta-thinking is thinking about your thinking. Meta-learning is learning how to learn. And I think it is the most important skill to master in the 21st century, because everything else is changing, right? And companies know this. Companies like the ones you mentioned, they know that the only constant is change, and it's like Moore's law and the half-life of information, and we feel like we're drowning information, but we're starving for like real practical, usable wisdom, right? And so I think the ability to learn faster is the most important skill. I read recently that the average graduate versus a school graduate is going to have anywhere from 8 to 14 different careers. You know, maybe even different verticals, because the world is changing so rapidly with technology. But it's also creating, you know, a lot of issues. But when it comes down to it, I come in to do something like training them how to be more productive, specifically around learning. So, for example, the average person has to process information about 4 or 5 hours a day. I think a lot of your viewers, they can relate to that. Like, how many books on your shelf do you have that you haven't read yet, right? How many emails do you get a day? I mean, we're inundated, right? And so 4 or 5 hours a day of processing information. But if I can help double your reading speed, for example, and you can save 2 hours a day, 2 hours a day over the course of a year is 730 hours. But even if you save 1 hour a day, you save 365 hours a year. That's how many 40-hour work weeks? That's 9 40-hour work weeks. 2 months of productivity you get back just saving 1 hour a day. So forget about time management. This doesn't even take time. It actually makes time. But the reason I do that for companies is if 4 or 5 hours a day is spent like reading and processing information, that means half of their salary is being paid just to read. That means if someone's getting paid, you know, $50,000, that means half of that is 25 is being paid just to process information. So it's the largest line item, you know, human capital is the largest line item for a company, right? Payroll and everything. And so that's an issue, information overload, because it also leads to a lot of health challenges, you know, as you know. You know, when people have information overload, they call it information fatigue syndrome. You know, higher blood pressure, a compression of leisure time, more sleeplessness, all the things that make you not your best. And if they're not good, you know, in their personal life, then they're definitely not going to be good also in their professional life in terms of their efficiency. And then we'll do things like memory training for corporations. You know, I believe in business and in life, 2 of the most costly words are I forgot. You know, I forgot to do it. I forgot to bring it. I forgot that conversation I had with that person. I forgot that meeting. I forgot that name, all these things. Every time we hear those words or we say those words, we lose time, credibility, opportunity, income. I mean, I can't tell you how many people have come to me saying they've lost a deal or a sale because they called someone by the wrong name. Or they asked somebody, like, how are you gonna show somebody when we're talking about like the power of remembering someone's name? I think it's the #1 business etiquette networking skill there is. How are you gonna show someone you're gonna care for their business, their future, their finances, their health, whatever it is you're selling, if you don't care enough just to remember like their name?
And politicians are good at this, right?
They're so excellent at it.
Former President Bill Clinton always remembers your name when you meet him.
Right, exactly. And he remembered it the second time. And not only that, the conversation we had, right? So he's got great charisma and great connector and great communicator and incredible memory people don't know. But also he has this powerful presence. But I think like when he's talking to you, it's like you have that same gift. And I hesitate by saying it's a gift because I don't want people to think, oh, somebody has it, somebody doesn't. It's something that can be learned also. It's like, but sometimes you're out and about, you can tell when someone's not with you. They're looking over your shoulder, seeing who's more important in the room, or they're talking. Most people, I find, Brian, aren't even listening. They're thinking about how they're going to respond, or they're waiting for their turn to talk. And you know, one of the reasons why I love your show is because you are an
Dwayne Wade, you gone too fucking far, dog. That is a male, a 12-year-old. At 12, they don't even know what their next meal gonna be. They don't have shit figured out yet. He might meet a woman, anything at 16, and fall in love with her. But his dick be gone. How you gonna, like, bro? You going too far, dog. Don't cut his dick off, bro. Like, bro, for real. If he gonna be gay, let him be gay. But don't cut his dick off, bro. Like, don't address him as a woman, dog.
powerful message now from three-time NBA champion Dwayne Wade. He has a new documentary coming out about his life on and off the court. It's called D-Wade, Life Unexpected. It offers a rare glimpse into his private life and the way he and his family, how they are supporting their daughter Zaya, who recently came out as transgender. Dwayne is standing by. We're going to speak with him live in just a moment, but first take a look at their story.
A lot of you guys see me as a superhero.
NBA superstar Dwayne Wade is opening up like never before in the new ESPN documentary, D-Wade, Life Unexpected. The 38-year-old revealing details about not only his professional life, but his family as well, raising his 5 children, including 12-year-old daughter Zaya, who recently came out as transgender.
Launch to LeBron, they've done it again.
Wade says he and his wife, actress Gabrielle Union, didn't have all the answers when Zaya first approached them and began educating themselves to support their daughter.
When I was a kid, I never knew if I was around someone who was gay, transgender. I never knew it. So when Zion came out to us, I had to get educated on every scenario and every situation, and I'm still being educated.
I have been blessed to have my best friend Zaya with me for 12 years.
I'm able to be.
Dog. He's 12 years old. He's not up there yet. He hasn't made his final decisions yet. Don't cut his fucking dick off, Dwayne Wade, bruh. You fucking tripping, dog. You tripping, dog. You tripping, dog.
Me, but I need to focus on my trial at school. You know, you guys handle that, but she's gay.
Expert listener. Like, you could tell with my interactions with you and your other guests when I'm watching, you could tell, like, when you ask a question, you sincerely want to know what the answer is, right? But most people, and the great thing about this is, going back to President Bill Clinton, I think his incredible memory and his powerful presence comes from being powerfully present. You know, his incredible
you can teach
memory.
that to people?
Absolutely,
Okay.
because you know what the problem is because people are learning and developing muscles of distraction. They're training themselves, especially with technology, to be distracted all the time. And you know, they're saying the human attention span is just going down and down and down because we have these smart devices, and every like, share, comment, cat video, whatever, is training us to be more and more like looking for the next novel thing. Every time you get a dopamine fix, you know, it's along the nervous system, like of where your motivation centers are, your learning centers. So it's training you to be addicted and to distraction, always looking. Like, I can't tell you how many people, like, you know this, like, they're on their smartphones all the time, and it's just sitting there. And they, you know, Simon talks about this, that if the phone is just sitting, Simon Sinek is sitting there, like, on the dinner table, like, it stresses people up. Just its presence. And for me, I just feel like if you're picking it up, I think.
Is his name really Simon Sinek? Because he is a fucking cynic. Oh my god, it is cynic. Look at his fucking smug ass face. It is a fucking cynic. How do you spell cynic? Cynical. Self-interest, distrustful of human intent. Yeah. This word defines this man right here. Simon Sinek. He is such a cynic. He's like, so let's just listen to him for a couple seconds. I hope I'm not sounding like him right now. I hope I'm not coming off like him. He's very self-righteous.
A true sense of purpose.
He's just like, every time I hear him talk, he's just like pointing out the faults of, he's like over-generalizes and points out what's wrong with people. He's like, people just are too in love.
It doesn't
with
come
their
from what we
phones.
can do to get. It comes from what we can do for others. I'm an idealist. You know, I want to live in a world in which the vast majority of people wake up every single morning inspired to go to work, feel safe when they're there, and come home fulfilled at the end of the day.
Okay.
From the inside out. Like one of the computers, it doesn't matter.
Like my job was stupid.
From Martin Luther King to Apple computers, it doesn't matter. Those are the capacity to inspire. Every single one of them, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, thinks, acts, and communicates from the inside out. They all start with why.
When you have the why, it gives you this calm
I don't know,
confidence that when people are yelling and screaming at you what you should do, you go, I'm good. I'm on my path. And so you've never seen a TM when you see the golden circle or a why. And the reason is because I want others to take it. I want others to build on it. All of those techniques used to build a company in the 80s and 90s, they're not working anymore. What happens? Innovation suffers, engagement suffers, productivity suffers, trust suffers. So okay, you bastard CEO who thinks all the stuff that I talk about is craziness, and you don't have time to make these changes. We don't have time. It's a war out there. I know guys who go to war, and I'll tell you, it's not a war. You know, you tinker with money.
Your why. The whys.
And there were that many TEDx talks. If I had done my talk today, you know, with 25,000 talks and 1,500 events a year or whatever, something ridiculous, there's no way that my talk would have gained the popularity that it did. There's just no way. It just would have been buried in the masses.
You think so?
Oh, 100%.
Really? Okay.
So I got very lucky with that. And so it was an honor to show up. And
Technology, people's like, Jim, why do I need to remember things? Because I have search engines. And